Because how do you tell or describe any of this to any one of your peers or your siblings when all you feel is shame and disgust and confusion and you don't even know how you ended up there? You're listening to Your Money, Your Business, the podcast with me, Debbie Colburn. I'm a small business expert and a former professional accountant turned money mindset guide. And I am obsessed with helping you achieve all those things you've dreamed of and thought were out of your reach, with helping you figure this money stuff out. My goal on this podcast is to help you break the cycle of feast or famine with your cash flow and to help you grow your wealth and sustain it over the long term. We dive deep, we get real, and we get raw, discovering and exploring what is really possible for you and letting go of all those things that are holding you back. If you've ever thought it's not enough looking at your bank balance or think, I'll never get that paid off, when you open up the credit card statement, maybe you're sick and tired of constantly being worried, of just getting by, and you know you're missing out on key opportunities again and again, or maybe you're done with the constant arguments over money, then this is absolutely the right place. We'll bring you a whole new way to look at money, profit, cash, wealth, tackle the challenges, share the ideas, the tips and the tactics and the strategies, and get you connected to the right resources. Think of this as your weekly prescription of money mastery development and leave the hard work up to me. No matter what's going on in your life right now, I've got your back. Ready? Buckle up, take a deep breath, and join me in a conversation about breaking through to the next level. Welcome to episode 123 and an open discussion about why it is so challenging to open up and ask for help, and to change the trajectory of your life in relation to money and abundance. Well, in relation to anything you desire or envision for your future. That introduction quote is from the Jeffrey Epstein documentary, Victim One, on Netflix. And while it is focused on sexual abuse, it is exactly the emotions so many people feel when they've experienced a financial trauma. Let's listen to a second quote. It's actually from Olivia Pope in Scandal, Season 5, Episode 2. I keep asking myself, when did it happen? When did I turn right instead of left? What choice was it that decided? What exactly did it? The thing, the one thing, the one step, the one flap of the butterfly's wings that brought me to this moment. How did I get here? Because I can't seem to retrace my steps. I'm scared. Thank you, Shonda Rhimes, for the brilliant description of the mental struggle we all face when we try to untangle and make sense of our unique story, and in the trying to not repeat the mistakes of the past. For many of us, after years of struggling financially, even if you and your business is making great money, those quotes offer a perspective on the immense challenge that's slowing and turning around the train that keeps barreling the wrong direction. Somewhere, in a moment buried in history, is a tipping point for every person who has successfully slowed and turned that train around. And yet, while the odd person can say, it was this moment I made the decision to change, we better understand that it isn't one moment. It's a series of nudges, gut feelings, experiences that guide us to change, like a 12-point turn on a narrow roadway with deep ditches on either side. And in those ditches that feel like moats filled with alligators and dragons lies shame, self-disgust, and confusion, embarrassment, our pride, our self-worth. Our whole being is threatened. How can I get anyone to believe that I could have been so stupid? I've said that. My son has said that. My mom says that. Millions of people around the world have said that. And more importantly, that I've changed, grown, evolved, know better now. Everyone. This episode is designed to empower you to save yourself and to start moving forward. I'd love you to take a minute. Just think about what conversations with family and friends is like for you. When was the last time you called up someone and let them know that you were having money problems or you were stressed out and not sleeping over something money related? Maybe it's wondering where you'll get the money to pay for your kids' private school. Maybe it's wondering how much more your mortgage payment is going up as the feds raise interest rates. Maybe it's wondering about that credit card debt you promised you'd have all paid off last year. What was their response? Or did you bail at the last minute and mask the question as some other problem because they might judge you? No, my brother or sister wouldn't ever do that. Let me tell you, they do. And they likely will, unless they are in your exact position. And even then, shame is illogical. It's hard to understand, and even shame experts like Brené Brown can be affected by it. And just like self-worth, it can exist at a different level from your self-confidence. So what is shame, and why does it matter in a conversation about money? Well, let's explore that a little bit, shall we? When someone asks you if you are happy, like really happy about what you make, your salary, your income, your revenue, what is the feeling you instantly get inside? Do you perk up thinking, I get paid so well for what I do, and I love it. I'd do it every day if I could. Feel a thrill, a twinge of excitement, pride, joy, a love of sharing that, because you know you're worth every single dollar of it. Or is it a bit of shame, possibly? A tinge of, I work super hard and I'm not earning what I think I should. My hope is that more people make the necessary changes so that the first becomes more common. I'm on a mission to transform under-earners into value earners. Under-earners have so much potential inside that is screaming to come out. Way more potential to earn more, to create more, to impact more clients. And when that potential is unleashed, when all that cache of negative emotions is wiped clean or cleaner, and when each under-earner discovers the power of self-compassion, self-empathy, what is shame really? And what is it not? It is an intensely painful feeling that we experience when we believe we are flawed and not worthy of a desired result. It is a long-term view of our flawedness. And I encourage you to ask yourself, flawed? According to whom? That single change in perspective can make all the difference in your life. Shame is a solo event, and it feels like we're the only one in the world who did it. The one thing that screwed everything up or sent things off the rails. And it's not guilt or humiliation or embarrassment. It's a cousin of each of those. So then you're asking, what is guilt? Well, guilt arises from something we did or didn't do, or something we said or didn't say. It is the bad feeling we get inside because that thing violated our values. We all know the feeling. It's that little voice. Mine has a name. He's Inner Gazoo, a spin-off of Fred Flintstone's Naughty Gazoo. It's that little voice whispering in your ear. You know that's not right, don't you? You know you should have helped them. And in most cases, it then goes on repeat, an endless loop, hammering away on your self-worth and escalating the level of guilt you feel. Remember as a kid, or even today with your own kids or grandkids or dog, saying, what did you do? Are you a naughty boy? Because guilt has a physical experience, doesn't it? And those other two cousins, embarrassment and humiliation, they are more superficial. We find them easier to get past them. They only last for a short time, and somehow we are able to see past them and not assign the bad feeling to mean anything about ourselves. Just think about it. Have you ever done anything really embarrassing or humiliating? If you aren't putting your hand in the air right now, you are lying. I recently made a casserole of scalloped potatoes for dinner. Now, scalloped potatoes are not my favorite. In fact, I really don't like them. So maybe this was me manifesting a way not to have to eat them. But just as I got them to the table, the whole glass casserole slipped off the oven mitts and dumped upside down on my chair. For real, what a mess. Pretty embarrassing, even if it was only in front of my grandkids and son. And the brief thought, they are going to think I'm turning into my mom, flashed in my head. And then it was gone. Here's the thing. The glass casserole is a weird thing in that it has no, if you look at your glass casseroles, most of them have some sort of a little rolled up lip that you kind of have a little bit of attraction on. This one doesn't. It's like it's trying to hold a flat sheet of glass. No way to hold it. Or here's another one. Way back when my son was about 15, we were having a campfire at the racetrack, and I was sitting on a board across two logs, campfire log chair, with my plate of mouth-watering rotisserie chicken and barbecue chips and my ice-cold beer. Oh my gosh, that's back when I ate a lot of meat, but it just perfect food. It had been a long day working outside in the sun as a safety official. I was friggin' exhausted, dying for dinner and a beer. Until his friend, who was sitting on the other end of said board, decided to get up. And the board tipped me into the air. Just like America's Funniest Home Videos. Dinner flying into the dirt, me on the ground, still holding on to my beer, but in tears. Humiliation, crying and lying on the ground, and then it was gone. Except for when my son talks about it all the time in his stories. And I'm okay with that. Does that make sense? Armed with that knowledge, one of the things that has been very helpful for me is exploring patterns. And once you can see the pattern, you can start taking back control over your own money and your life and start moving yourself forward. When you look at your online bank app, there are a number of different things they show you. And one of my favorites is categories. For example, two of the ones I really stay on top of are groceries and fast food. And in the past 3 years, there have been 3 eye-openers in these categories. The first was when I saw how much I was actually spending on fast food when I was living in downtown Calgary, when my home was surrounded by fast food and restaurants. And as you can imagine, some of the very best food in the world, and some of the worst, and some of the just mediocre, are all within walking distance. Now, I hope you don't get fixated on the dollar amount, because what that is different for everyone to you. And it is different from city to city and country to country. $50 in cash for me here is $35 US, just simply because of the exchange. So my identical Starbucks order is $10.52 in Canada, in Canadian dollars, and $14 in Canadian dollars in Maryland. Sitting down to look at my spending on what I was putting into my body revealed that I was spending, one person, $600 on food. And I was gaining weight, a pound or two a month, and my body was screaming at me that I was doing something really wrong. Lessons from Millionaires almost always talks about things they spend on and things they don't. And my pattern was on the don't list often. Patterns. They are the golden ticket to turning brokish or paycheck to paycheck living into thriving and a life of richness. In looking at that pattern and the specifics of what I was buying, it became New York Times Square clear to me that I was eating more than a teenage boy in terms of calories, and in the process, I was killing my gut. I've carried a hidden level of shame about my body health. Now, I want to be really clear. I absolutely love my body. I wouldn't change it for anything. But this hidden level of shame is about my body's health, not my body, for most of my life. Not so much what it looked like in the mirror, but what people saw me as. I understand where that comes from. My mother is a self-admitted fat racist. She believes that fat and overweight women can't be successful or good leaders or millionaires for real. And I absorbed that belief about myself, even though I see myself as an athlete. Love my body. That nagging little belief was always there. And for years and years, I didn't even know it was there. Food and money, so intricately linked, bound by emotions and feelings, and comfort food. From that $600 a month pattern, I chose an easy, better choice that would chop a bit out of that number while not feeling like I was restricting or cutting myself off. Remember, here's one of the things that's important to understand. When you are single, and especially for someone who is working at home, who runs a remote business, sometimes going out to eat food is not so much about getting food, it's about people. Sadly, it's not always the right people, but it's being around people. Making sure that you aren't feeling that the choice that you make, that one easy, better choice that you make, isn't restricting or cutting yourself off. That's super important when you make changes. So it was a test, an experiment. It was a path of least resistance choice, a little tiny change. I tried a couple of meal delivery services, Good Food, HelloFresh, and Chef's Plate, and here's what I discovered. If the meal that arrived was for 2 people, according to the experts in food and meal preparation, and it was smaller than what I was eating before that, then portion size was a big, big problem for me. So I split each of the 2-person meals into 3-person meals. And in the span of 4 weeks, I lost 17 pounds. I wasn't hungry. My body felt so much better. My blood pressure had massively dropped. And my bank account was crazy happy. And yes, I was still walking the 1 block to the Tim Hortons I could see from my kitchen for my tea, bagel, and donut. But in the process of the 1% improvement and better choices, I was now getting a plain donut, so deep fried dough, now, instead of a sugar-loaded deep fried dough. Patterns and habits, right? Where's your journal? All this is in my food journal where I track things, not every day, not every week, but I have data for multiple days and weeks to work from. And whether it's weight, spending, exercise, fun, communication, sex, anything, tracking, just like in any science experiment, is mandatory. Just don't get obsessed over it unless you feel like it. I've used an Excel spreadsheet, I've used Google Sheets, but I've really found that a regular, inspiring notebook Highlighters and a pen work best for me. I've put a link to my favorites in the show notes for you, just in case you like to check it out. HelloFresh quickly became Goodbye Fresh, and good food really wasn't, and I discovered that if I was going to have to still make my own meals, I wanted high quality, fresher fruits and veggies to do it with. And chicken doesn't like me, and most of those are based on chicken and pork because they're cheap. And I pretty much eliminated red meat from my diet except for the odd evening out at a high-end steakhouse like Ruth Chris's in Calgary Tower. And if you haven't experienced them, it's a definite A+++. So in continuing along the path of least resistance, leaning into the 85-90% vegan vegetarian eating style, another piece of data that I discovered, and guys, I know I'm talking about food, but food and money are intricately linked. They seriously are. When I found that literally every night, no matter how great the last meal was, I had to have something sweet, cereal, cookies, candies, anything sweet, but fruit never seemed to cut it. Why? Why sweets? Because my brain had absorbed my parents' dinner style, which always included dessert. Always. Always. Still to this day at 89 and 90, there is always dessert. And I wasn't sure how to change this, or if I even wanted to. I would even take a plate of stuff to eat to bed. And in our family, we'd always eaten late, European style, partly by choice, partly because of kids' activities. So I was almost always eating before bed. That extra weight? Oh, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out where it was coming from. My big step in the 85-90% vegan vegetarian lifestyle, and I'm not saying that's right for everybody, but my body absolutely loves it. But it meant being strategic and better planned on groceries. And without a car, we all walked the 4 blocks to the grocery store. But the quality wasn't what I was looking for. And I changed where I was shopping. Now, unlike many people, I don't mind shopping. And I like cooking. Not enough, though, to rule out having someone else do it for me. But that's still a ways out. What I discovered is that my grocery bill radically decreased when I switched away from meat mostly. Seafood and fish is still my go-to because I love it, and so does my body. So often we need to experiment and to follow a path not knowing where it will lead us or what we'll learn along the way. The path of food for me, as it is for millions of others, is tightly interwound up with my money and my wealth. I'd be a multimillionaire several times over if what went into my mouth had gone into my savings and investment accounts instead. But as you guys have heard me say before, I eat my money. And I'm unraveling those pieces. Every day is a new learning. And it's been 7 years now I've been on this thing, and I don't even recognize the me that used to be. Our choices are guided by the invisible scripts that we inherited from family, friends, teachers, environment. And while it's easy to judge where we could have been, the reality is today you are more aware. You can see, hear, and act on those beliefs that are not serving you. So, are you an under-earner? Are you ready to get some data? Are you open to discovering your first patterns? Has my story of food and money inspired you to take a closer look at some of your categories in your baking app? So this podcast got you thinking you'd like to go a bit deeper on this with me. You want to figure your money thing out? I have got so much more to share with you and to give you. And you're really ready to toss the shroud of money worries into the trash forever, to stand taller and more confidently in every decision and manifest the most profitable and successful year of your life, which means worry-free abundance in life and in business and so much more. Make sure to sign up for my free 4-week course where we're taking a deeper dive into how to transform that money situation in your bank accounts that's keeping you up at night. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All you have to do is just pop over to the link bit.ly, bit.ly/boost money EQ, and invite a friend to go through with you, even family or maybe coworkers or employees. It's a great way to get a money conversation going. And the more people in your community who are shaking up the scarcity mindset, the more our families and our communities will thrive. Don't be shy or embarrassed. Pass the link on to as many people as you can, because stats show that we never know what's happening in people's lives, especially when it comes to money. I cannot wait to see you inside. And yep, regardless if you sign up for TBN or not, this course is absolutely free. No strings attached. So much value handpicked for you inside it. You're for sure going to experience a transformation in a very short time. Come on, join us and have some fun. bit.ly, bit.ly/boost money EQ. Super excited, and I will see you there.